Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Roman Papaduke, and I'm the Executive Director of the George Bush Presidential Library Foundation. On behalf of the Foundation and everyone here at the Library Center, welcome to tonight's special program featuring Milo Hamilton and Curt Smith. With the baseball season in full swing, we thought it would be a good time to examine the state of our national pastime, as well as to share some good stories of baseball past and maybe baseball present. So we're honored to have two prominent baseball personalities with us, Milo Hamilton and Curt Smith. Milo is a native of Iowa, and he spent over 65 years in the broadcast business, broadcasting baseball games. He's worked with the Cardinals, the Chicago White Sox, the Chicago Cubs, the Atlanta Braves, the Pittsburgh Pirates, and now with the Houston Astros. He's been present for many memorable moments in baseball history. He was there when Roger Maris hit his 61st home run back in 1961. And his is the voice that called the famous home run by Hank Aaron when he hit his 715 home run, breaking Babe Ruth's long-held baseball home run record. And that was in 1974. So whenever you hear or view that film of Hank Aaron breaking that record with that home run, it's his voice in the background that's calling the shots. So you're going to get some really good stories, I think, today out of Milo. Milo is also very much involved in charitable works, and I think it's through his efforts in the Houston area, he's been able to raise over $30 million for local charities. So he's very much involved in the local community, and everyone greatly appreciates all the work that he does on the behalf of the various charities. Curt Smith is a native of New York. He teaches English at the University of Rochester in Rochester, New York. Curt was also a speechwriter for President Reagan and for President Bush. And I had the pleasure of working with Curt in both those administrations, so we go back a long time. And it's always a pleasure to see Curt and to welcome him back here on campus. He's a frequent visitor and lecturer here on campus. Curt is a columnist, a sports buff and sports writer, and hosts his own radio show on NPR up in Rochester, New York. He's a prolific writer of books. He's written 13 books. Some of them deal with the presidency, and most of them deal with baseball history. He has an upcoming book that will be out in July, A Talk in the Park, which will recount stories by famous sportscasters. So I hope you look forward to that book and pick it up. He's a great writer, and I think you'll enjoy that book. Tonight, what we have for you is a talk between Curt and Milo about their experiences in baseball. They'll talk for about 45 minutes to an hour, and after they get tired of each other, they'll open it up to questions from the audience. As you notice, there are microphones pre-positioned in the center aisle, so I ask that you use those microphones to address your questions to them. And so, ladies and gentlemen, before we start the program, we're bringing Milo and Curt on. We have a brief video that will start the program. I hope you enjoy the program, and thanks again for coming with us. Enjoy the evening.
Hall of Fame broadcaster Milo Hamilton started his broadcast career in 1945 while serving in the United States Navy and has been going strong ever since. He started his big league baseball career in 1953 and has been broadcasting baseball for the past 7 decades. Over his illustrious career, he has called some of baseball's greatest plays and has the unique distinction of being inducted into 4 Halls of Fame. And now we look back at some of Milo's greatest moments over the past 65 years.
Now the hitter is Will Clark. He's 0 for 3. Swinging a bouncer. This could be it. David runs to the bag. Game and go. No hitter. Swinging at a high fly ball way back into deep center field. They'll watch it go out of here and monumental 400. Swinging, lining it to left. It's gone. It's gone. It's gone. Wes Clark. 2-0 pitch. Swinging. There it is. We have the newest
What a group. I think, how's this? Can we be heard? For better or for worse, right?
What about the back row?
You're all set back there.
Right.
Well, first of all, on behalf of Milo, let me thank the inimitable Roman Pompadouk for that impeccably delivered and factually accurate, in many ways, introduction. We do go back a long way, Roman and myself and Milo, and of course the common universe that unites us, and that is our affectionate admiration for Bush 41. More on him in just a moment. But it is to be great to be back in Texas. Actually, since my wife's from Houston, in a sense, I feel that we've never left. Welcome to the salute to baseball, the Houston Astros, and of course, the most recognizable voice in Texas. That is, if you exclude two men with the last name of Bush. Of our guest tonight, you could say, "Holy Toledo," and you'd be right. That's the calling card of a man born in rural Iowa and later honored in rural New York in a tiny town called Cooperstown. Theodore Roosevelt at the Sorbonne in 1904 proclaimed, "The man in the arena." Well, since 1953, our guest arena has been Major League Baseball. Since 1985, right here in Texas. Glib and studious, he ties courtesy and hospitality. Ladies and gentlemen, the incomparable Milo Hamilton. As Roman suggested, we will talk for a bit, about 45 to 60 minutes, and then open it up. And I know Milo would agree with me in saying, for the truly erudite part of the program, and that is your questions and Milo's response. But Milo, let's return, if we can, to the beginnings, and the beginnings for you, 1927. Fairfield, Iowa. As a fellow Iowan, Herbert Hoover was preparing to run for president. Charles Lindbergh endorsed Hoover, prompting the song on the radio. And I'm sure even at one, you probably remember this. You remember Hoover.
I sang it.
Precocious, yeah. Back in the war, saved us from the Kaiser. Now Hoover will save us from something more. He'll serve as the president of the land of the free. If he's good enough for Lindy, he's good enough for me. Well, from the beginning, baseball has been good enough for you. And you have talked about it. If you can embellish briefly, you think that really over the last century, baseball's history has been America's history.
It really has, and even before that, if you go back to right after the Civil War, the Confederate troops that were in prison camps, they didn't know what baseball was, and they saw the Union troops playing baseball, and they went home. And you know what happened when they got back to the South? Every mill town had a team. And then the minor leagues flourished in the South. And then as you came to World War I, they asked President Wilson, "Do you want us to stop playing?" He says, "No, it's too important." And then with President Roosevelt, Judge Landis went to him and said, "Should we stop playing?" He said, "Absolutely not. It means too much to this country." And then you all know the comeback when 43 threw out that pitch after the debacle in New York and Pennsylvania. Baseball brought the country back together.
Well, more impressively than that, or at least as impressive, was that he threw a perfect strike. And in watching, geez, hundreds of politicians and public figures over the years, without question, the very first strike that I have seen thrown. Baseball thrives in big cities, and I think Houston and certainly Dallas shows that. But Milo, really, if you look at the genesis, the DNA, it's a very small town game. Hoover came from Cedar Branch. You from Fairfield, Iowa. And there was a nearby town, if I recall, Pearly, Iowa, population all of 7, right?
7 people in Pearly.
Yeah, well, not enough for baseball. They'll have to play hoops instead. Or my town in upstate New York, Caledonia. And they all suffered, of course, as the nation did in the Depression.